All right, so we're here with Phil Treadwell, leader of M1 Academy.
Good to see you, buddy.
Dude, I mean, can we do any more content
We've done
together?
a lot of content together, I think.
And especially recently.
Yes.
So, all right,
Yes.
you just got off stage and you said something that it just made me reflect, is that what is a good friend? Okay, is it a good friend somebody that says, "Oh man, good job, you know, you did great," or is it the person that say, "Hey bro, you're kind of like getting fat right here, and maybe you need to go to the gym"?
Yes, that's a good friend.
Which one is a friend? So I want to just, I think that we've all heard this part before. We're recording, by the way. You want to be in our video?
I don't know. Oh, you're recording. I'm sorry.
Good.
You're totally
We're having a conversation. My bad.
you're totally fine. So
I could splice that. I can cut that.
it's fine. The question I want to ask you is that, like, look, I want to be a good friend. So how do I be a good friend? In context of, like, look, I got to call you out on your BS.
Sure.
How do you do it?
I think in today's day and age, we're told a real friend is someone that loves you for who you are. And that's not entirely untrue, but I think a real friend is someone that holds you to the standards that you're capable of, the standards that you've set for yourself. Because we don't always achieve our goals, but we will always hit the standards that we set.
Right.
So if we're not achieving something that we want, if we're not living up to that capability, it's entirely because we've not hit or set the right standards for ourselves. We're not living up to those things. So a real friend is someone that comes in and says, hey, this is the standard that you set for yourself. This is what you said you're capable of. This is what you said you're going to do. And as a friend out of love, I'm going to hold you accountable and not just be okay with the mediocre version of that. Because we all have excuses. Right? I had a mentor that said, any excuse will do. Doesn't matter what the excuse is.
Yeah.
And I think that a good friend is going to call us on that and make sure that we're living up to what we're capable of.
So, okay, walk me through it. You got a friend, they're slacking off. What do you say? How do you open that up? But here, a true friend. Like, I care about this person. How do I come at them in a way that is going to be received well, or I guess doesn't even need to be received well?
Again, it depends on your relationship with that person. If it's someone that you kind of know that you're friends with, because we all definitely want to insert ourselves.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we have to ask ourselves, am I getting high on my own supply?
Right.
Am I taking my own advice?
Yeah.
So the friends that I'm talking about are that close inner circle.
Yeah.
The mentors you have,
Yeah.
the really good friends. And in those situations, you just need to call people out. We're too concerned with what people think. And if you know them well enough to know what that standard is,
Right.
you should know them well enough to say, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, hey, Jimmy, you said you were going to go to the gym this many days this year.
Right.
I'm not seeing a whole lot of you going to the gym. Like,
Right.
what's up? What's going on?
Right.
And it should be done in a way of wanting to help that person, not I want to be judgy. Like, we're all quick to put on our judge's
Right.
robe, but we're very rarely want to take that advice for ourselves.
Right, and you're doing it pretty much every day, coaching people as it is. So, I mean, I think you know who your real friends are. And I think that if you feel comfortable calling somebody out, I think that's the level. I think if you feel comfortable calling somebody out on their fitness, on their diet, on their business, I think that is a true friend.
Agreed.
And you should do it.
Agreed.
So you talked a lot about failure. And what I really liked was, okay, I'm not afraid to fail. Okay, but are you afraid to let people see you
100%.
fail? So, and that was like, whoa, well, I'm kind of not.
Yeah.
Like, truly though. Like, okay, you want to show people your bank account, you know? You want to show people your numbers? Just like, I think that that's a defining difference.
It is.
So, like, I guess, how do you embrace it anyway, knowing that you legit, on paper, are a failure and it's like public? I guess, like, how do you get through that kind of fear?
Well, I think we have to realize that fear is part of the process. Fear and failure are part of the process. Fear, we can go through all the acronyms. False events appearing real. Like, fear is real to us in the moment, but the way we overcome fear is by taking action. At the end of the day, failure is an opportunity to learn what we need to take us to the next step.
Right.
Something didn't work. It doesn't necessarily mean that we now know how to do it right because we did it wrong, but
Right.
we figured out something to move that needle, if you will.
Right.
So people are like, no, I'm not afraid to fail. So the question is, are you afraid to do something in front of people that you might fail at just for the experience of learning that thing? We cannot get better at things that we're not actually doing.
Right.
And we often want to make all these plans and all these preparations and really get it all dialed in before we act, and you're never learning anything. You can go learn from a ton of people. There's a lot of people on stage that are sitting here giving us the tactical things we need to go do, but it may not work the same way in our business. Doesn't mean that thing doesn't work, but we have to be willing to go and try and fail and figure out, okay, well, that worked that way with him or her. It's not gonna work that way exactly with me, but you learn that through the reps. Right. Barry taught me a long time ago, Barry Habib, that a boxer trains 5,000 minutes for every 1 minute in the ring.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's those reps, that action that we have to take so that we do have an opportunity to fail. This isn't school. You can fail over and over and still learn.
Yeah. So, in kind of to play off that in a little bit of a different way, you talked a lot about confidence. And I think that there's a lot of people that are struggling with confidence right now, and rightfully so. There's a lot of failure that people have had. If you look at people's numbers, they're down. And some of them are way down. Some are like debating still, going on. Confidence is, of course, at a low. And why is that? Well, they lost momentum.
Right.
And why did they lose momentum? Why did they lose motivation? They lost momentum.
Correct.
And so, is it a fake it till you make it kind of thing? Like, look, I'm confident.
No.
I feel like that's something where, like, I relate a lot of things to, like, talking to girls. I'm single. I shouldn't say that. That should be cut out. So, okay, talking with girls, you're not going to be confident if you have not been on a date in 5 years.
100%.
And I think it's the same thing with loan officers. You're not going to be confident meeting with a business partner if you're not doing a lot of business.
Right.
So how do you bridge the gap between being confident and, hey, I'm totally unconfident? Is it just a simple matter of doing it?
It is. So when we take action, when we have daily habits, when we have daily disciplines, whenever we do the tactical things for our business, the whole point of doing those is to try to get results.
Yeah.
So we have to identify a goal, know what we're trying to do, be very clear on it, and want that thing really badly. If we're not taking action and we know what we want and we want it badly, the only reason we're not taking action is the belief that it's going to work for us. But ironically, the only way to cure that belief is to go take action and get some results.
Right.
The problem is we have the metric wrong on what results are. A result is getting an intended result from an action. So we all do 5 or 10 things every single day. So now we're just going to put it on a list, and as we check those boxes off in our mind's like win. And we start stacking those wins. And where the confidence comes from is understanding that all of those little wins move the needle way more than the big losses do.
Right.
Because we think this big loss, this big failure is something that, oh my gosh, that's going to wreck my business. Oh my gosh, this isn't going to work now. But all of those incremental things we're doing on a daily basis are like, wait, I'm still making progress.
Right.
So confidence isn't a personality trait.
Right.
Confidence is a skill that we learn. So the fake it till you make it doesn't work because in our mind we still don't have the belief.
Right.
Confidence only comes from action and realizing that even small actions are going to give us some type of result that we can celebrate. Our mind only distinguishes between wins and losses, but not how big they are. So I can take a really big failure of some type and I can literally negate that with some little small win because I made a phone call that I didn't want to make.
I mean, 100%. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're making more calls and more calls and more calls.
Right.
And then you build your confidence, motivation,
Correct.
everything goes. So you said this too, in this final question wrapping up is, you need to become the type of person that has those types of results. And I think that that's just absolute fire because you have to fall in love with the process, sure.
Yes.
Talk about how that's developed. How do you actually become it? When is the become it?
So it's a great question. To understand, we have to remember that most of the time we're taking action for an intended outcome. And it's not contradictory to what we said because those little wins are for the bigger outcome.
Right.
But we focus so much on the outcome that we forget those outcomes typically happen to people and to businesses that have done all of the other stuff, that have become that person, that have built that business to a point. So if we'll stop worrying about the outcome and just start focusing on the process, that's what elite people do.
Right.
And so we've got to get out of our heads that X equals Y, right? And focus on, I'm going to become the best version of X that Y just happens to.
Right.
If I can become the person that has an elite business, I'll have an elite business. I'll have a $100 million business. But that's hard.
Yeah.
Because we want it to be subjective. And really, the where it comes from is none of us want the accountability. hey, Jimmy, what are the 3 things I need to do to get this outcome?
Right.
Okay, well, Jimmy may give me the 3 things that I need, but what Jimmy's really saying is do these 3 things over and over because of the person you will come that will have that outcome. And so then when those don't work, I no longer have accountability or responsibility because those things didn't work. So let me go look for 3 more things that might work this time.
Right.
And we don't want the accountability, we don't want the responsibility for we are in our business what we've chosen.
Right. Dude, I'm just thinking it's just like, it was something as simple as phone calls. I want closings. That's my results. I want closings. Okay, well then check the box. Check the close box. Well, you can't do that. There's a process that comes before that.
Correct.
And maybe that process is I need to make 100 phone calls, but then along the way you're checking 1, 2, 3, 4, momentum, 5, 6, 7, motivation. You sell a couple, confidence, and then all of a sudden the result just happens.
So that's the thing, is the process. So just what you said, I could make 100 phone calls, but I'm judging the success of those 100 phone calls by how many closings I have. Well, let's say you did all 100 phone calls right. If I'm focusing on the process, I'm like, okay, well, in that phone call, what was the conversation that I had?
Right.
After that conversation, when they put that application or client profile together, as I help them throughout the process, there's a ton of other things, again, that's about the process that leads to the closing. We need to do the same thing in our life. Okay, if we work out and we eat right, then we're going to lose weight and have this perfect body.
Right.
Well, there's a bunch of other things that happen. So all we need to focus on is embracing the process and loving that journey. And again, Gary Vee says it best. It's macro patience on the outcome and micro speed. We want to be quick to act, quick to take action, but then focus on what is this doing to me? How am I becoming the right type of person, the right type of a business owner? And again, loan officers are business owners. Mortgage professionals are business owners. You have a business within a business, and you've got to start using that mentality.
Success is persistent, consistent effort over time.
That's right.
Phil Treadwell and
Thanks,
One
brother.
Academy. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That was fire.